So there's kind of a lot going on in example 4, so I'm going to break A and B into 2 separate videos. Don't be scared, it'll be fine. So originally they give us this graph, and it is the graph y equals 1 over x. And what they want to know is a bunch of stuff. They want to know how it could have been translated to create this graph. So basically, how did you take 1 over x and make it 1 over x plus 6? What did that do? Did it change? Did it move it up? Did it move it down? What? Sideways? They want to know. So when they're talking about translations, they want to know how was it moved. That's going to be our first bit. And then they're going to ask us, they want to know the equations of the asymptotes. And they're also going to want you to use your graphing calculator to check it out. So we're going to go through those points. The thing that you want to really note, and I like this example for it because it's easy to see, is that you're going to be dealing with the original function and then asking yourself, what happened when you put the new number in? Did it affect, was it near x? Was it near y? Was it within the function? Was it just outside, like tagged on the end? So what we're looking at here is our original function is y equals 1 over x. And our new one is 1 over x plus 6. So we could even take and put a couple of brackets around this, because when you put it in your calculator, you're going to need to put brackets around it. And we can see that this is actually attached to the x. It's within the function. If it was stuck out here on the end, then that would be different. But it's within the function, so that's dealing with an x move. So what we can do is just look at the pattern, and it's x plus 6. So we could take our handy dandy little cheat sheet and go, oh, when it's x plus something, it moves to the left. So then I can take my points that I had established here. So I noticed that 1 and 1 and -1 and -1 were solid points right on the crosshairs of the axis. And I can just simply move them 6 this way. So the y is going to stay the same here, but the x is going to move. So if I take 6 away from 1, I end up with -5. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, approximately here. And that's going to give me -5 and 1 as my new point. So just shifted it straight this way. This one as well is going to do the same thing. So I guess I could write that it's -6 here and -6 here. So this one's going to end up at -7, so it's going to be over here. But it's still at -1 in the y. It didn't change that. So now I have -7 and -1 as a point. You can see that the asymptote here is exactly in the middle of those two. So my asymptote then is going to have to be at exactly -6 to be directly in the middle. It was at 0, so we could write asymptote, that's my vertical asymptote, is at 0 here. So I'm going to move it 6 over because I'm moving the horizontal component. And so my new asymptote, so you could call it my prime asymptote. That's what they usually do in your book. If they're moving something, they just assign a prime to it, is -6. And I can see it makes sense. If this point is at -5 and this point is at -7, then -6 cuts right through the middle. So my asymptote for my x value is going to be -6. Now, I had a y value asymptote right along here. You can see it's not touching the y equals 0 line, and that hasn't changed. So I could just draw my little lines in here to show you what I mean. And those aren't changing, so the y asymptote remains at 0. So we have, let's see, we've decided that it moved 6 to the left. That's how it changed. We've replotted it, we've checked our new asymptotes, and you can use your graphing calculator to check and make sure that your work is correct. Make sure that you put these brackets in, because otherwise you're going to be going 1 over x and then adding 6, and that's going to give you a completely different graph.